So
How
we're
do you
gonna go.
raise your hand?
I think you just tap the little emoji thing, like tap your screen or the little three dots, and then raise your hand. But feel free to just send me something, and I'm more than happy to answer questions. So one of the main things I'm going to go over tonight is how to handle objections, and then also I'm going to go over handling basically attrition. So a lot of us like will sell a lot of accounts and then a lot of them drop off. And there's no point selling a lot of accounts and then not having the paychecks hit. So last year, I think Benji was saying I hit 233 clean come October, but I had 6% attrition, which I believe was one of the highest in the company. And I'm going to teach you guys a couple little tips and tricks that I do for attrition right at the end. So if this was a YouTube video, I'd say wait till the end. We're going to go over objections first. So a lot of rookies, when they first hit a door, they're going to get the not interested. They're going to get the door slam or whatever. But if people are saying not interested or they're talking to you, that's an opportunity to sell. And something that I really like to remind guys of is that in sales, it's a problem and we're trying to provide a solution, or we are providing a solution. So when someone gives you an objection, they're kind of speeding up the process because they're giving you the problem off the bat. So if they tell you, okay, I have a dog, right? They're kind of telling you the problem at the get-go rather than you having to kind of work things out or having to, let me see if I can take this hand off, having to work out what's underneath the ice. So remember that sales is oftentimes problems and solutions, and not every single door that you knock on is going to have a problem that you can solve. So it's your job, I guess. What separates some of the top guys is time management and working out what is a real objection and what is a smoke screen. And the only way that you're going to do that is more experience on the doors, and that's kind of just the reality of it. But hopefully, some of my training tonight can help speed up that process and help you kind of work out if a customer is giving you some BS or if they're actually have a real objection and a real concern. So there's going to be a couple little acronyms I'm going to share tonight about how to handle objections. If you have notes or you want to write stuff down, that's going to be really helpful. And I do believe that if you can handle objections and have good attrition, it's going to help you make more money over the summer. So this is pretty important. Now remember, objections are a good thing. So a lot of rookies, when they get an objection, they get really, really, really flustered. They freak out. They get really worried. And remember, in your sale, nothing is ever an issue. The iPad's not working. It's a no hit. Your service goes out. Pronto's down. Don't worry about it. Just keep smiling, nod your head, and keep going. Nothing is ever an issue. So when a customer gives you an objection, it's not an issue. Smile, actively listen, and remember that an objection is a sign of interest. Who can you not sell? You can't sell a closed door. You can't sell someone that doesn't answer the door. So that's why when someone opens a door, I'm smiling just like I am right now, because that's an opportunity for me to sell that person and serve that person, help them with a security system, and ultimately help my family by getting paid. So when I'm getting an objection, that's great. That means the conversation is still going. I still have an opportunity to sell that person. And basically, they're telling me at the get go what they're worried about. I don't have to work it out. I don't have to dig deep and kind of like pick away at it. They're telling me at the get go what their concern is, which is fantastic. And I'm going to go over 5 of what I think are the main objections, the ones that you're going to run into the most. We're going to talk mainly about the concept of objections, and then I'm going to give you some one-liners to deal with some of these objections as well. Now, remember, you don't want to win a argument with your customer, okay? As soon as you get into an argument, maybe bar Dan Moser, I think Dan is the only person I've heard of who has gotten into an argument with someone and then sold them. I've kind of gotten into a semi-argument with someone and then sold them, but you don't want to argue with your customer ever.
Ask my wife, Nate. It's every night.
Yeah, you still
Just kidding.
close even after you
I'm s-
argue.
I'm still close with my wife every night. No, I'm
Still
just kidding.
close. That's a master closer. We're not salesmen, we're closers, gentlemen. That's what we are. You're not a presenter, you're a closer. That's the mindset you have to get into. So you don't want to battle with your customer ever, 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 ever. And it's not that the customer's always right, but you're not letting any negativity come out of your mouth. So if they say, well, can we do that? I don't ever want to hear out of any of y'all's mouth like no. No is like, it grinds me up the wrong way when I hear people saying that, like, I can't do that, or we won't do that, or unless it's something illegal. But in general, that negativity, it grinds my gears. So when a customer gives you an objection and you hit it really hard, like they say something like, well, I have a dog, and you're like, well, your dog can't call you if it's your house getting broken into. It's like, well, great job, you just won the objection, you just beat down the objection, but now you have a pissed off customer and the sales resistance is really high. They don't trust you, they don't like you, and they're not giving you their social and checking account. And who's not getting paid? You. So you won, but guess what? When you go to the bank and you say, hey, I won the argument, guess how much they're putting in your checking account? Nothing. So the point is, with a customer, we have kind of a couple of different ways of handling objection. And remember, you are trying to like beat the objection, but there's a difference when we're selling, having kind of, I guess, a way of handling a customer that doesn't upset them and still makes them want to buy, right? So, and it's kind of the way of when you're asking a question, right? If you ask a question, you say, do you have an alarm in your house? Or is your house protected with an alarm system? That's quite invasive. Whereas if you ask a question like, do you mind if I ask if you guys currently have an alarm service? It's still the same question, but it's just a little less invasive. And it's the same thing when you handle an objection. You can kind of go right for the jugular, but that's usually not what you want to do. Now, when should you be handling objections? Ideally, on the doorstep, you are blowing past objections with a, yeah, I'll get to that at the end. Or yeah, great concern. A lot of neighbors have said the same thing. Keep going, keep going, keep going. On the doorstep, you really don't want to get into anything with the customer that is quite heavy or gonna give you any sales resistance on the doorstep. Your goal should be to, unless they bring up the exact same objection 3 times on the doorstep, you don't really necessarily even want to deal with it on the doorstep. Just keep going with your process and keep explaining it, right? So if someone was to give me an objection on the doorstep, like, I'm really busy, you're like, yeah, absolutely. I'll just kind of leave you something at the end and keep going. So the way that the cameras works for your neighbor, Miss Lisa, and just keep going. And you'll be surprised. They're just halfway through their Netflix, unless they tell you like 3 times, like, oh, I have something on the stove. Yeah, no problems. Yeah, I'd love to get some when you're done with it. Anyway, what I was saying with Miss Jason or whatever, and just keep going with your process. And basically, the more time that you can get in front of that customer, the higher the chance is of selling them. One way I've heard it explained is it's kind of like a fire. The longer that that fire can stay lit, the greater chance it has of basically exponentially growing and getting hotter and developing into a fire. So it's those initial stages of the fire where it can go out, where you've got to fan it, breathe oxygen into it, kind of turn it into a flame and get heat into it. And it's the same with your sales conversation. You don't want to steamroll the customer, but if they're giving you an objection, you don't want to let it slow you down, if that makes sense. So on the doorstep, what are we not doing? We're not beating the customer, okay? So we're not wanting to win the argument. And we're also not getting too deep into the objection on the doorstep, right? We're saving that for when we get into the house and when we're going to close, okay? So doorstep, blow past it. Hey, yeah, have you got a card? Yeah, absolutely. I'll leave you one at the end, right? Keep going. Yeah. Don't be like, oh, well, we don't carry cards, or no. Like, I hear this from a lot of rookies. Oh yeah, can you leave me a card? No. What? What are you talking about? Yeah, of course. You want card or cash? I take both when I set you up. Just make a joke about it, move forward, keep going. And you'll notice that with all of these objections, you just keep going. That is the trick with a lot of these objections. It's called redirection. But basically, you answer the question, then redirect. So yeah, beating objections, there's kind of a thing that we train on, and it's called agree, overcome, and transition. Okay. There's a couple of other ways that some people teach it. Feel, felt, found, or the 3 Fs, feel, felt, found, for handling objection, or pause, probe, provide, prove. There's a lot of different ways of handling objections. The one that I really like, because it's just simple and we teach it, is agree, overcome, and transition. So what do I mean with agree? Uh, card or cash? We take both. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, can I leave your card? Yeah, absolutely. I take card or cash, and then just keep going. Just like make a joke out of it. The best way to handle an objection truly is a joke, right? So if they say, "Oh, I have a dog," be like, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I love the dog. He's probably a killer," and just keep going. And it like it doesn't matter. Nothing ever phases you. Like you're kind of like that master Oogway, just kind of rolling with the punches, water off the duck's back. Nothing phases you. Just keep going through your process, and the way that you're going to get paid is getting to the end of your process. So don't allow that customer to throw you off of your process that easily. And the only way you're going to do that is keep practicing the reps, just like in the gym. Keep practicing your reps on the door. Keep practicing your reps. So on the doorstep, just to recap where we've gone so far, do not try and beat the customer and just go with the punches, roll with it. Handle all of the objections with a smile. And remember, agree, overcome, and transition. So I'm going to break that down. The only way you can agree with your customer, this is very important, is if you're actively listening. This is I can't emphasize this enough. You need to be actively listening with your customer. Okay. So to actively listen means that you have to repeat back to them their objection usually. Okay. So if you can repeat back to someone their objection, they feel like you've understood them, right? So if they say to me, "Oh, I have guns. I don't need an alarm system." Yeah, absolutely, Sean. A lot of the neighbors have said the same thing. Guns are one of the best ways of protecting your home. So agree with them. Like, do I hear you saying that you feel a lot of peace of mind by having firearms in your home? Yeah, absolutely. That's why I don't need an alarm system. Yeah, I've heard the same sentiment from a lot of neighbors. I mean, we are in Texas. Everyone has guns. I have my guns with me actually right now. I'm a big believer of the Second Amendment. But joking aside, as soon as Smith and Wesson comes out with a model that can call me when it's getting stolen, I'm buying that. But until then, ADT is the next best option. And so I'm just making a little joke, like, I'm saying, hey, like everyone has guns, we all have guns, but they just can't call you if they're getting stolen, right? And so, if they kind of hit me with that again, I'm going to appeal to a bit more of their logic, right? I'm going to agree with them again, right at the start. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you're a smart homeowner and you know that one of the most stolen items is firearms. And that's why a lot of your neighbors have been getting security systems. Now, the way that this alarm system works, and then I'm transitioning. So I agree, we overcome, so we gently squash the objection. We don't want to make them feel stupid. So overcoming the objection would just be helping them understand the problem that they have and what our alarm system, cameras, home automation does to solve that problem. So that's what overcoming is, right? It's basically the one liner that you hear a vet say in the meeting that is like really snappy. But if you don't do the agree and the transition, you look like an idiot. So the one liners that you hear all the vets say, like, oh, guns can't call you if they're getting stolen. If you just deliver the overcome without the agree and transition, you just look like a jackass. And so at the very start, when they give you that objection, yeah, absolutely, Mr. Brad. Firearms are one of the best ways of protecting your home, right alongside with dogs and right alongside with alarm systems. It's actually why every bank, museum, and courthouse in America has an alarm system and not just a Smith and Wesson sitting on the counter, right? Because it can't pull the trigger when you're not there. And so what I really like about our alarm system and your neighbors like is that it can call you when you're not home. It's hard to be everywhere 24/7. That's why I have it at my house. So I'm empathizing with them a lot and I'm being a human, right? And that truly is the best way of overcoming objections. Now, the golden way of overcoming objections, and this again predicates on active listening, is beating them before they come up. Okay. So this is all of the stuff I'm saying is when the objection arises, the best way of beating an objection is beating it before it comes up. Now you'll chat with some of your absolute studs in the company. I'm not going to list them all because I'm probably going to miss someone and someone will be upset that I didn't mention them. But we have a lot of slingers in this company, and it's almost like when you get rich, everyone thinks you start getting lucky, and when you start selling a lot of alarms, everyone thinks that you just run into a lot of laydowns. As you start to beat objections before they come up, you start to make your own laydowns. And so, again, this comes down to active listening. Okay. So, if you're taking notes, this is really important. Write this stuff down. When you walk up to a house, thank you, Baron. I'm going to read that in just 1 second. When you walk up to a house, pay attention. Is the yard really well kept? They might be a little bit older. Do they have, you know, a sticker on the back of their truck that might have, I don't know, an American flag or a Navy SEALs thing or libertarian sticker or whatever? Okay, they might have dogs. Do you see a dog chain in the front yard or a dog bowl in the front yard? Okay, you're already mentally preparing for handling that objection. Hey, I'm Nate. I work with ADT. I'm super new at this. Take it easy on me. A lot of the neighbors here actually have dogs. That's why I'm actually in the area helping the neighbors out, just helping make sure that their pets are safe. We do actually a pet package. They haven't even mentioned that they have a dog, but I heard it barking in the house. Okay. And as soon as like I'm talking with them, I've already hit the objection. If I'm working in an older neighborhood, hey, what's going on? Beautiful yard out here. I can't believe you're not yard of the month. I'm Nate. I'm working with a whole bunch of the neighbors. You probably know Stacy, Miss Lisa. A lot of the homes here came with like pre-wired alarm systems. They're really old. We're updating them. People never used to use those old alarm systems, and they were way too complicated. It didn't make sense to pay for something you only used when you went on holidays. Now we have the Key Fob, an app on the phone, and we've actually been updating a lot of your neighbors, and they love it. When people hear me out, they absolutely love this. And so if I'm kind of getting that would be for someone who's old and doesn't think they need an alarm system, doesn't use an alarm system, had a negative interaction with an alarm system. And so when the best way to beat an objection, okay, is to beat it before it comes up. All right, let me read Baron's message here. Chat. How would you respond if they respond to you saying, I don't leave my house very often? Yeah, that is a fantastic question, Baron. And I'm going to get into a couple more specific objections here. Now, I'm going to agree with you, empathize with you, Baron, and kind of put into practice what I've been saying. And so your question was, how do you handle someone that says that they stay in their house all the time? I personally struggle with that one a lot because I find I don't want to push something on them too hard. But the way that I usually handle that, and again, you want to empathize and actively listen with them, is I usually, and again, I want to preface that if you can do this in the house, it's much, much better. So instead of dealing with this on the doorstep, because it takes a little bit of tact, but you're much better off if you can do it in the house. But all that aside, usually I say, hey, there's never an ideal time to have a break-in, Baron. I have insurance for a lot of stuff in my house. The thing that I really care about is obviously my family. And I just saw all the beautiful pictures on the wall. I imagine you're probably the same. If you could pick, and I know neither one's ideal, I mean, what would you say is worse, having a break-in when your family's here or having a break-in when you're not home and your stuff gets taken? And then shut up. Don't say anything. And then let them answer. And if they say, well, both suck, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Usually they'll say, well, a break-in when my family's here, and then agree with them. Yeah, look, if you were here, I mean, you're a pretty beefy guy, Baron. I'm sure that you could absolutely wreck him. But the alarm system, usually it's that peace of mind when you're not home. And obviously, there's never a perfect time to get broken into. I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't predict when someone's going to get broken into. But this is exactly perfect. When I'm working and my wife's home alone, it's just a little extra peace of mind if she's there by herself, that there's something extra just aside from her having to deal with someone when they come in home. And don't get me wrong, Baron, she's a Southern belle. She'll split a penny in half from a mile away. She can totally handle herself, but I just don't want her put in that situation. Does that kind of make sense, Baron? And then he'll be like, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't want my wife to have to. And then I'll make a joke. That's kind of heavy. I'm like, and it gets messy too. I mean, who wants to pay the carpet cleaners to clean all that up, right? That's terrible. But if you do shoot someone, call me and I hope you bury him in the back, all right? But joking aside, the way that the neighbors have really liked this, Baron, and then I'm going back into my pitch, right? And so kind of like pedal on, pedal off, like, hey, like deal with it seriously. And usually I'm only giving that response on the third time that they've given me that exact same objection. So if they tell me I'm busy, I have dogs, I have a gun, I don't have time, I can't afford it, I'm on a fixed income. They're all different objections. It's probably none of those. It's probably they just don't trust me. That's really what it is. So if I can buy time with them, they're going to listen to me and they're going to trust me more, right? And I've had people give me, I kid you not, probably like 15 different objections. I'm like, man, I haven't even heard that objection before. That's a new one for me. And then by the end of it, it's just that they just didn't trust me. So they're just trying to get rid of me. And then once you break them down and you kind of just go through the smoke screens, it becomes a lay down. And you just have to stand your ground. And when they see that you believe in your product, that you care about serving them, then their guard will come down and they will trust you and they'll buy from you. So the only time I'm using those kind of hard hitting objection kind of overcoming strategies, Baron, is if one, I'm in the house. Okay, so if you're not getting in the house, you need to work with your manager on transitioning. And then two, if I've gotten the same objection 3 times. So the first time I'll make a joke or just ignore it. Like I'll just ignore it. Like they're like, oh, I'm busy. Yeah, absolutely. And then just keep going. Second time, again, probably a joke or something lighthearted. Hopefully by the third time I'm in the house. Once I'm in the house, then I'm going to deal with it head on. And it's almost like I'm having a heart to heart with them. I'm not trying to make them feel dumb. I'm not trying to smack them down. I'm not trying to win the argument. I'm trying to just level with them there. And usually I'll fall on my sword a little bit, right? So that I kind of give them the illusion of power in the sale. So I'm saying something to the effect of like, I know that it's inconvenient that I'm here, but what's way more inconvenient is someone breaking your house. So I'd rather deal with this now and just kind of have a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation, Baron, rather than kind of coming home to an ajar door. That's just a terrible feeling, and no one wants to be, feel, I guess, not like, pause intentionally like violated or have their stuff gone through. It's just not a nice feeling. Do you mind if I ask, Baron, have you ever had a break-in? And then no matter what they say there, I have a lot of power. Because if they say no, then how can they tell me that they don't need this? They've never experienced something traumatic like a break-in, right? If they say yes, then it probably is going to elicit a lot of strong pain for that customer, and it's going to re-evoke that problem that I'm providing the solution for. So either way, you kind of win with that. It's just like the strategy I was telling you guys about, like, are you guys on the neighborhood watch page? If they say yes, then they probably are going to see all the stuff that's on there, and I'm making them seem like they're professional. If they say no, then how can they tell me that no crime happens? They're not on the neighborhood watch page. So it's one of those situations where you can kind of set yourself up for, it's called a reciprocal close in some sense. Like you're kind of either way, both answers help you win. You're kind of shaping the question to help yourself win. All right. If anyone has any more questions, I'll try and answer them directly in the chat. So please be sending stuff in, and as I keep growing through the training, I'll try and do my best to answer them. And just to, again, empathize and put into practice what I'm telling you, if I could do everything that I'm saying on every single door all the time, I would be selling 5, 10 accounts a day. So the most important part of this job is consistency. And all of this stuff that I'm saying is fantastic and great, but it's kind of like a fire hydrant right now, or it's a shotgun effect. And so hopefully some of these things are landing, and whatever you can take away from this training tonight, however much of it you absorb, stick with that, grab a hold of it like a pit bull, and then just put it into practice consistently. That is the thing that you need to do to get better at this job. All right. So
one thing I would add, Nate, as well, is I think a lot of first years at the beginning, we make the mistake of thinking that their objections are actually real. I would say most of their objections are all just smoke screens. They know their dog's not going to eat someone. They know that their gun's in a safe. They know that they have the money. So how Nate's addressing it, oh yeah, we love dogs. Move on. Oh yeah, everybody has a gun here. Move on. They bring it up again, then you attack it a little bit more. But it's no matter what they say, oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's why we're here. I can't afford it. Oh yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, I have a dog. Oh yeah, that's why we're here. We don't want them to burn,
Exactly.
So just keep it rolling.
Everything about your pitch, that's the best part. Oh, perfect. That's why I'm out here. Everything is like a positive. You can basically never lose because everything's a positive. Jakai, you wanted to say something.
When we go to Detroit, are we going to still not be able to install smoke detectors?
Detroit, we should be able to install smoke detectors. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but yeah, I think Texas is the only state.
All right, thank you.
No dramas. I love smoke detectors. I use them as a close all the time. I think they're really cool. So I'm glad that we'll be able to sell those in Detroit. So like Brad was saying, the very first time that someone brings up an objection, just palm it off. The amount of times where I've gotten through a sale, and again, they don't know you, they don't trust you. We have used this example in trainings before, where when you walk into whatever Lowe's and someone asks you, one of the staff there asks you if you need something, and you're like, no, I'm good. They work there. You went there to buy something. You're literally there to spend money, and it could have sped up your process so much more if you just asked for help. Now, how much more is that kind of our knee-jerk reaction when someone's on our doorstep? And so that's why, just kind of empathizing with them, not squashing them, and allowing them to know who you are is going to allow you to deal with those objections in a way more real way when you close. So the top 5 objections, and I'm happy to go over more later, that I'm going to talk about tonight is the TIO, or the think it over, dogs and guns, which I've kind of summarized as they feel like they have a debt security already. They already feel secure. Price or fixed income. We're going to do spouse, and then not interested or wouldn't use it. So those are the ones that we're going to go over, and then we'll kind of wrap it all up with some kind of attrition top tips or ways that you can make your customers sticky. All right, so summarize so far. Objections are good. They're a sign of interest. You can sell someone that is giving you an objection. You can't sell a closed door. So when someone gives you an objection, don't get flustered, smile, and everything is a win. Perfect. That's why I'm here. Absolutely. Great. Awesome. You have dogs? Right on. What type? Awesome. I've had people, kid you not, with like little sausage dogs or weenie dogs, those little Shih Tzu dogs that like you could feel kick goal across the whole house, in a tutu, tell me that's his alarm system, right? Obviously completely ridiculous. That dog is not doing anything for that man. And so remember that 90%, 95% of the time that you receive an objection, it is just a smoke screen, and just continuing that conversation is the best thing that you can do for that customer so that you can serve them and build trust with them. There was a question here. So I apologize. Let me see this. Would this be a good response to someone that tells you they aren't interested? Totally fine. Most people aren't looking to buy anything right now, but when someone's house gets broken into, they call us and pay big bucks instead of getting hooked up today for the cost of zero. Yeah, I mean, that would be a great way of handling it, maybe on the second go round. On the first go round, if they're not interested, yeah, I just like, yeah, that's fine. So what and I literally just handle it like that. If they're like, yeah, I'm not interested, yeah, of course, and then just keep going. Yeah, the first time round, I almost don't even acknowledge it. I don't want to kind of, let me phrase it to you like this. When you ask the customer a question, who's asking the question? The sales rep is asking the question. So who has to give the answer? The customer. And so you have the power to control and, I guess, allow the conversation to go where you want it to go. When you basically start answering the customer's questions, then they're the question asker, and it gives them a lot more power. And so that's why beating the objection, you asking the question, you eliciting, I guess, a response that enables them to see that their objection is a smokescreen is way more powerful, rather than you monologuing and trying to win or overcome their objection too hard. Again, because most people's objections are a smokescreen, you normally just need a 1-sentence answer to kind of get through their objection. So the way that Brad was answering those objections was perfect. That's like such a seasoned answer. He was just giving 1 sentence, like, yeah, we're here because we don't want the dogs to burn. Perfect. You don't have to explain like the whole 3-sentence thing, like just boom, transition, overcome. All right. If there's any other questions, throw them up. So
I got a question for you. I put my hand. Brad said, "Just talk," and it's more of like,
sorry, Sean.
No, you're okay. As you've been talking about smoke screens, we all get those a lot, and I think for first year guys, I think it's like, well, when people bring up smoke screens and they say, "Hey, they don't need an alarm or anything like that," there's one thing that I learned in my head, and I obviously talk a lot about the convenience of the system and all the benefits of having it other than break-in, but you do have to realize, like on this call, why wouldn't any of us break into a bank? And I don't know if anybody like answer that in your head, but I think it's all because there's an alarm. Like it's going to go off and you're going to go to jail. There's
jail.
a few stats of half of the country's top 50 and national banks. So it's over half of the banks in the U.S. have some form of ADT. 72 of the nation's largest airports, all federal courthouses have ADT. 80% of the top U.S. retailers. I remember seeing a stat one time of the Fortune 500 companies that the majority of those have some sort of ADT. The reason that people don't mess with banks and businesses, and they rather go break into like somebody's shop in the neighborhood, is because there's no alarm, there's no cameras, there's it's like I'm not going to mess with the bank, but what can I mess with? And if you can have the same feeling about your house as people feel about robbing a bank, like no one's going to mess with that. And I think people saying, hey, I just don't have an alarm because I don't need one and they don't work. Just make sure you're trained not to listen to smoke screens and you just move through those and build value, ask good questions, and they'll forget. If you forget they said it, they'll forget they said it because it was just something that they're trying to get rid of you. And I think having a core like understanding that like there's a reason that all these businesses and people have ADT. So there's no reason or no objection they can give you that's actually real. They have no real objection of why not getting it other than maybe they have, because even if they're like, we're moving next month, I sign up all the time. People like, let's grab your address of your next house. Did you close already or when's your closing date? Benji shadowed me one time and he's like, I would have walked from that because they said they're going to sell their house and you just signed them up in the next house. And I'm like, I do that all the time. I don't think there's an objection you can't overcome other than I have cancer and I'm going to die soon, or I'm moving to an apartment, or like really they like open their bank and show you that they've been overdrafted and they're currently being sent to collections. But there's no other objection you can't get overcome, which should give you all the confidence in the world.
That's awesome, Sean. Yeah, and I often say that every bank, has an alarm, and they kind of like look at that, and that might be intimidating for them. But then you realize, like, well, if your neighbor has an alarm, and you don't have an alarm, which house are they going to go for, right? It's just like you said, like people don't mess with those things because of an alarm and because of consequences. And an alarm elicits a consequence, which is calling somebody in the police. So they don't want consequences. Baron, you got your hand up.
So last week in Dallas, I was talking to this guy. He was super interested in everything, and I qualified him. He had an A credit, and I called Caleb to come over to come help me close it. And he said Caleb built out the system for him and everything. He was fine with paying for it. He wanted another panel too, so like I could tell like money like wasn't a problem. And then we got down to like the part to where like he had to sign it was like a contract to keep the sign out, and he started like tripping out, and like the deal wound up falling through. So just anything like you would do, like like overcome that.
Yeah, and I don't want to obviously I wasn't there, so most of communication that we do is through body language, is through facial expressions, tonality in our voice. So I wasn't there with your customer. I don't know if there was a seed of doubt planted early with that customer, if there was something that got fondled. Some customers are going to have a bee in their bonnet for no logical reason. And obviously, like I said earlier, if it's not a big deal for you, it's not a big deal for them. But evidently what you're trying to say is that you lost that customer because they were concerned about the 36 months, or what was the reason that they were bailed on the deal? Was it because they didn't like the agreement or what?
So basically, he was like I had to like talk with him about like I don't know, he's just going on about his life and stuff, and I was just entertaining it, And he was basically saying like how like he wasn't under contract. He had Brinks before, and he claimed that he wasn't under contract, but like that's just not true.
Yeah, he might have finished up his agreement. So yeah, hey, look, honestly, the best part about our program, Baron, is that we actually get to lock in your rate. And the really cool thing is we get everything on the house for zero. Now, most people, obviously, all the good things in life come with contracts, right? Houses, cars, marriage, right? They all have contracts. These are good things. The only thing we don't like being stuck in is obviously with the wrong person or with the wrong company. ADT's been around 150 years, and we take really good care of our customers, and then I show them the Better Business Bureau ratings. The cool thing is we're starting off our relationship on the right foot, and we're getting everything in the house for zero. So the reason people don't want to be committed, no one has a problem with being committed with someone that they like, right? I don't mind being committed to my wife. She's awesome. I'm not asking you to marry us at ADT, but we do obviously want to make sure that it's good for you and good for us. So it's not a big deal, right? You're just like, hey, yeah, like the best part is that we get to like, commit because it's a good company. But even with the commitment, right? Like helping them understand, like, hey, like we don't want to drag you over hot coals. So I often say to people, like, hey, why, if they give me that objection, I say to them, hey, Baron, why did I knock on your door today? What are they going to tell me, Baron? Why did I knock on your door today?
To sell you an alarm system.
No. Why did I knock on your door today? For the word of mouth advertising, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. So if we spend all of this money on your house, we pay for this equipment, we get this install in, we spend all of this money to get word of mouth with the neighbors. Don't you think we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't take care of you? And then all of that money that we spent, we lost so that we would get word of mouth, because we want all of the neighbors, when they ask you about how awesome your system is, for you to actually tell them it's awesome, right? So we spend all this money, so the onus is on us to take care of you, right? And so I'm kind of just like helping them see, like, the power's kind of in their court. Like, hey, we're spending all this money. We don't want to lose that investment. And the reason we're spending the money is because you're going to be helping us out with word of mouth. What are you going to tell all the neighbors if we hike the rate on you, Baron? You're going to tell them we suck, that we're just like Verizon, we're just like whoever, insert company, right? The reason I knocked on your door was for word of mouth. So if we squeeze out $10 extra a month from you after we spent $1,800 on your house to get everything in for zero, does that make sense? No, it doesn't make any sense, right? So that's why we're here, is to serve you and make sure you have a great experience so that you tell all your friends, family, neighbors. And then, just like you have an agent for your house, Baron, I'm going to be the agent for your alarm system. So if you need anything at all, you just make sure you call me. And I really try and build that personal rapport with my customers, save their number. And I'll get to this at the end of the training, so that you can have really sticky customers. Um, and I don't know if that kind of answers your question, but I wasn't there with the customer, and each objection is unique to each customer. Some people kind of need a more direct response, and some people need a softer response. So I really couldn't tell you, but that's the way that I handle contract objections. To say, hey, that's the best part. That's why we're here. I love it. We do one of the shortest in the industry. It's great. It's awesome. It's good. And they always kind of get, if you're excited about it, they're going to be happy about it. If it's with a smile and you're excited, they're going to be pumped about it. All right. So TIO, think it over. This is a really interesting one. Thinking it over can be, again, a little bit tricky if you're kind of getting it later in the sale. I always like to talk about things like a no-brainer. It's super simple. A lot of the neighbors love this, so that it feels like all of the neighbors are already on board with it. And you'll notice that when I deal with an objection, I really like using other people's testimonies, other people's experiences, my own experience, their neighbors, their friends, because then I don't kind of have to poo-poo on their objection. I can just use the neighbor's experience to kind of squash it. So for a TIO, usually I'll basically try and figure out what it is that they need to think about. I usually don't like to hit a TIO like too hard. One thing that I sometimes do is I say, hey, if I was to come back in a month, for example, what are a couple of things or bits of information that I can leave you so that you would be able to think about something like this? And then it removes a little bit of the pressure. They kind of feel like I'm not going to go for the close. And then they might tell me like, oh, well, I just don't get paid for another week, Like, oh, okay, I hear what you're saying. So, if I came back in a month and money wasn't an issue and it happened to work out, on the day that you got paid, is this something that you think you would use and you like the idea of? Oh, yeah, no, we love it. And then I'm going to try and tie them down a little bit more. What are a couple of things that you guys like about this if we did pay for it? And they tell me. And then now they're kind of a bit more sold on it. And then I'll just try and go for another close again before offering a first month. And then if I need to offer the first month or get a month waived, I'll do that so that I can get the sale. So again, it's problems and solutions, and you can't really solve their problem or give them a solution if you don't really know what their problem is. So like a TIO, normally if I come across a TIO, it's a spouse, like the spouse is not there. They're concerned about money. Like that month, for example, it might be tight. They're like, oh, I need to think about it, which is code for that. They might want to do it, but just like you've caught them on a bad day, you've caught them kind of in the middle of something. It's not quite a priority for them. And so building up that buying temperature is really important for not getting TIO'd. The ultimate answer for a TIO is building urgency and tying them down during the sale. And so really kind of getting their hot button and pressing that button a lot. Like, okay, what would you guys use about this? Would you use this more when you're home or when you're away? Would you use this more like, when you go to bed or when you go to work? And really kind of like tying them down to it so that they can see themselves using it every single day. And again, I'm beating the objection before they bring it up. So if I feel like they're a bit more of an owl, and we'll go over this in the summer, but judging your prospect will help you deal with your objection quicker. So after you've kind of encountered enough people, you kind of usually can pick out what sort of person someone is, and then you can bring up the objections that normally go with those people a little earlier. So judging your prospect, actively listening is going to allow you to go, okay, if they're a bit more bullish and a tiger, you might not need to do all that. But you're like, well, what do you like about it? How much do you think something like this would cost? And helping them articulate like things that they, tying them down is basically what I'm trying to get to. Price, or let's go over dogs and guns real quick. Dogs and guns, I guess, it's quite a common, but it's usually like, I think it's one of the easiest smoke screens to get over, or one of the easiest objections to get over. And maybe it's because I'm a bit more built, and usually the people that are giving me the dogs and guns, like they're a little bit more blue collar. But just helping them like see logically, like, okay, I love your dogs, I love your guns. They're some of the best ways of protecting your home. But we don't want to come home to hot dogs if there's a house fire, right? And I don't know if Fido's learned to dial the 911 trick. If he has, we need to put him on America's Got Talent. But most dogs, usually, if there's a fire, they can't call out. And I assume he's not just a killer, although he probably would bite me in the butt if I came in here unannounced. But he's part of the family, and we want to make sure he's protected. So that's why your neighbors love this. A lot of them love this pet package because you guys have smoke detectors. But when you're not here, what can your smoke detectors do? So I want to ask them a consequence question. What would happen if your smoke detectors, there was a fire and you're not here? Sometimes I'll share a testimony at that point of customers that I've helped that saved their life with fires or saved their business with fires. And then, kind of helping them see how our system solves that problem if the house is on fire. And then, if they're really harping on the guns, I'm like, yeah, like I get it. Just shoot a burglar when he comes in, although that's a terrible situation, but it's really hard to shoot down a fire. And so I'll use that fire kind of to tie them down to the fact that, okay, yeah, great, like you've got guns, but guess what's really flammable? Ammunition. Like, can't shoot down a fire. So we want to make sure that we can get your house, your family, your kids, your dogs protected in case of a fire. Price. Guys, price, unless you're really knocking lower socioeconomic, and I mean like lower, should never really be an issue. We give these customers such a stinking sweet deal. As someone who has only been in the US 3 or 4 years now, things are pretty expensive monthly here. There's a lot of things that cost a lot of money. An alarm system is most definitely not one of them. It is not that expensive. And so if it's not a big deal for you and they can feel that from you, it's not going to be a big deal for them. And helping compare and contrast the cost of a cell phone bill with the cost of an alarm system, I found has been very helpful for me, because if I just tell them what an alarm system costs, they don't really know what it costs, but they do know what a cell phone costs. And so no matter what price they tell me, if I say, hey, smart phone, smart home, our panel has a cell chip in it, just like your phone has a cell chip in it. So just for the purposes of helping us be on the same page here, we'll just compare the pair. Hypothetically, or, not hypothetically, but what does your cell phone bill run you? They'll tell me. And if they say anything close to the price that my package offers them, say it's like $86, I do a finance package for them, and they tell me like $90, I'm like, whoa, holy smokes, only $90 for your whole cell phone bill? That's it? Wow, that is super cheap. And then obviously when I'm dropping price and it's around the same price, they're thinking, oh wow, that's really super cheap. You know what I mean? And so if they're telling me like, oh, $180 a month for my cell phone bill, I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty normal for most of the neighbors. Yeah, a lot of people pay around that much. Yeah. So that when I drop $86, they're like expecting it to be what their cell phone bill is, which is 180, right? So for me, the line I always use when I drop price, I've compared the pair, I've showed them, I've done the stat close, and then I'm just like, hey, yeah, we make this a no-brainer so that you don't have to think it over. Literally, the only thing you're paying is just $74.99. High five. And I always go for a high five. I love a high five. I feel like it breaks the ice. Yeah, high fives for me. Great way of just kind of developing a connection with your customer. Literally, the only thing that you pay, we make it super easy and affordable. It's a no-brainer, so you don't have to think it over. It's just $74.99. High five. Now, if the alarm goes off, who do we call? And again, I'm transitioning so that they're not having time to necessarily sit there. I don't want to say, well, the equipment's normally 1,800, it's zero, and it's $74.99. And then pause. And they're like, well, that sounds like a good deal. I need to think about it, or is there a cheaper rate? Or if you're kind of confident and lead them, people want to be led. And so if you can lead them, that will really help your sales funnel process. Spouse, you want to be respectful. And usually what I like to do is if I'm with a single woman on the doorstep, I'll ask them the question, would your husband be comfortable if I showed you how this worked? And I find that that's really respectful. I would appreciate that if there was a door-to-door guy selling to my wife. So I don't try and be too pushy. Obviously, I know that nothing funny is going to go on with me, but I'm at their house. And so I want to make sure that I'm respectful of them and their family. So say, hey, would your husband be okay if I showed you how this worked? And usually 9 times out of 10, because I've broken the ice with them, they're totally cool with it. And I can write everything down. Now, again, we want to identify our customer. So if they're giving me a whole bunch of flack and they're not the decision maker, I'm not putting any stock in that. I want to work out what their hot button is. I want to work out what the decision maker's hot button is. And ideally, if they're going to be there in an hour, half hour, I'm going to get that prospect as far through the sales process as possible and then not drop price. And I'm going to come back when both decision makers are there, if they're going to be there shortly after. I'm going to get their phone number and I'm going to text them before I leave. And then I'm going to text them when I come back over so that I'm not wasting my time. And what I don't want to do is if I'm in the house and one of the spouses is in the other room, is start going over prices, numbers, all this kind of stuff, even if I'm with the decision maker. As much as it's possible within your control, whether you have to call somebody, whether you have to literally like herald them over, hey, I'm sure you understand, ADT, just when we go through something like this, we just need to have both people present so I can share the information and nothing gets lost in translation. My accent's funny enough, okay? Stuff gets lost in translation with my weird accent all the time. I just don't want anything kind of getting swapped between y'all and you miss something and get upset. So I just need both of you guys here so I can share the information. And I'm telling them, okay, come here, sit down. So as much as is in your control, and you're going to have to lead that a little bit, try and get both parties there. You can totally close a one-legger. Done it all the time. But you really do need to identify if they're the decision maker and really make them excited for it. Like, this is awesome. You're taking a proactive step to protect your home and family. your wife is going to love this. I know she's been on your case about getting this outdoor camera for the cars. Now it's off the honeydew and you guys can go jet skiing this weekend or whatever. And so making it like a big win, like, and really with the men, I find the best way to deal with a spousal objection is if it's their idea. So if you can help them make it their idea, that's really helpful. Not interested. Obviously the smart ass in me, when they come to the door, makes, I want to say, in what? I haven't told you anything yet. I don't like that response because it kind of goes against everything that I've been saying with the active listening, the empathizing, all that kind of thing. You do not want to get narky smart with your customers. It affects all of our money. They'll post it up on the Facebook page and you're going to get less interactions. So be very kind, be very respectful with all of your customers, and put into practice a training that I'm teaching you tonight so that you can handle their objections eloquently. So yeah, if they tell you not interested, usually what I like to do, again, brush it off the first time. And if I'm getting that a lot in a neighborhood, like I'm getting it again and again and again, maybe they get hit a lot by door-to-door guys, which is totally fine. The glass is half full, the glass is half empty. If they get hit by a lot of door-to-door guys, they know door-to-door is legit. It's not like a rural town where they've never had someone knock on their door and they're like, look at you, and they're going to kind of wonder if you're credible. They've seen door-to-door guys. They've seen door-to-door guys go in their houses before. They know you're legit. So having a lot of door-to-door guys around is awesome for you. You're not going to get like, are you legit questions. So if they kind of come out and they're pretty bullish and like, hey, yeah, I'm not interested. Usually what I'll do is I'll go straight in for a nice firm handshake. I'm going to grip them pretty hard. And they go, man, you must love living here. All of your neighbors are so friendly. And they really love what I have to say when they hear me out. And now, you know, man, you must love living here. The neighbors are so friendly. Now, what I've done is they don't want to be the butthead that now shuts me down and tells me, oh, I'm not interested, and kind of like kick me off the porch. When I come with that energy, I'm like, hey, yeah, you guys must love living here. The neighbors are so friendly. Miss Tracy, she gave me a water down at 3742. She was awesome. How long have you guys been out here? Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to keep it quick and just show you what I'm doing. If it's not for you, no problems. And it's a very much like, I'm not trying to get at you. I'm just going to show you the information. And that's usually how I handle a lot of objections. Like I'll squash them, and then to transition, I'm basically doing like a pullback. And I'm saying, yeah, if it's not for you guys, it's fine. I'll just write on a piece of paper. And if you like it, great. If you don't like it, at least I got to meet you and you can give me a bottle of water before I kick rocks. Does that sound fair? And then, you know, I'm going through my process. All right. Any questions about that? I know that was a fire hydrant of information. If you want me to repeat something, I totally can. One thing I see a lot of rookies do is don't keep bringing up an objection you've already defeated. A lot of people do this. They like feel like they have to defeat it multiple times. What Sean said, I think it was Sean that said it. If you don't bring it up or you don't mention it again, they're just going to forget it. If you forget it, they forget it. So on the doorstep, if they're like, oh yeah, I can't afford it. When you're dropping price, bringing up the objection again, like, oh yeah, I know you said you couldn't afford it. Don't do that. Just keep going through your process. Everything's cool. Big smiles, high fives. Everything's awesome. They're getting an alarm today. They're getting it all in for zero. All right. I'm going to see if anyone wants to send anything or put any hands up. Baron, yep, you got something. I love this. You're asking questions.
What's it called? How would you handle somebody like if they tell you they don't have a social? Like, would you like keep trying, like here, like realize you're wasting your time?
And they happen to speak Spanish, maybe. If they don't have a social, you can't do much with that unless they want to pay cash for the whole contract, which I have. I think I've only done that twice. But you can do it. You can sell anybody. If they're interested, Baron, and you're getting vibes from them that they would want something like this, yeah, sign it up. Just like Sean signing up the person who's moving in a month. Heck yeah, bro. Go for it. I mean, in my rookie year, I was signing up, not everything is in junk, but like I was trying to sell everybody. Now I try and conserve my energy a little bit more. But yeah, go for it. Sign them up. If they want to pay cash for it, do it, dude. They just have to pay the whole 36 months. But I wouldn't spend tons and tons of time with that person. I'd be pretty upfront with them. I'd write everything down and say, hey, everything's going to be zero. And all you have to pay is for the monthly, and you just pay it out. Okay, attrition. Sticky customers. All right. So everybody loves getting a fat paycheck. I most certainly do. And I absolutely hate bad accounts. I hate bad accounts because it's like that money that I had, it's like a loan from Evo that I have to pay back. I'm like, dang it, no, I just want it to be my money. So I know that all the managers definitely love good attrition too. I love good attrition. Everyone loves good attrition. So how do we make good attrition? Okay. One good thing that I think is really powerful for your customers is if they invest something into the deal and it makes it more real for them from the get-go. What do I mean by that? I was chatting with one of the Safe Streets guys at the back end party, and he quoted off a number to me. I forget what it was in terms of the actual percent, but I know it was above 70%. But if a customer invests a certain amount of money, it was around $99. They're going to be way more sticky because they put their own money into that deal. It wasn't just low hanging fruit for them. So the way that I like to do this, and this is my training. So if people disagree or whatever, that's fine. I don't usually charge tons of activations. If you want to, great, do activations. What I like to do, and the way that I do it, is I say, hey, I get paid and I'll do this right at the end of my sale. I say, hey, I get paid if that blue sign goes in front of your house. Okay. So that's just the way that I get paid. I've obviously taken everything for zero, and we've got everything for zero on your account because I don't know your financial situation. But if you want to leave me something, it's kind of like a tip. You can totally do that. And you can leave that with the first month, or you can leave me that with cash so that when I take my wife out for fajitas, I can tip the waiter with it. Okay. Now, I'd say 7, 8 times out of 10, they're either going to reach into their pocket and give me some cash, or they're going to leave me something on the card with the first month. The last sale that I got on the Dallas Blitz, what I did was I wrote down 35, 70, 105, and 140. He's like, I want to leave you something on the card. And I said, okay, great. Circle one of these. And the way that the office works is they go up. For some reason, I've charged 50 and they only pay me 35. It's really annoying. So I figured that they only charge in $35 increments or point increments. So if you want to charge something on the card, you can just do it on the panel for the equipment. You go 35, 70, 105, 140. And most of the time, they leave me $70 and put it on the equipment panel. The technician charges it. Or they're leaving me cash. Very common. I'm getting $40 to $80 cash. And that customer now, well, first of all, if it goes bad, I'm keeping the cash, which is awesome. Second of all, the customer has invested something into the deal. So it wasn't free. Not that I use the F word, okay? I don't like free, but you get what I'm saying. They actually had to do something to earn it. And keeping the signs out, not bragging, being flexible. Now they've given me something, and there's kind of this reciprocal relationship that we now have. I find that is very powerful, and it obviously has reflected in my numbers. So I really, really, really like that, and I feel like it's very honest. I don't like being deceptive. I don't like any of that sort of garbage, and people have a very strong BS radar. They can smell that on you a mile away. So when I say to them, hey, look, you don't have to leave me anything. There's no pressure. If you want to, awesome. If you want to leave it on the card, it'll come out with your first month. If you want to leave me cash, cash is always king, and it's going to go to date night with me and my wife. Okay. And yeah, they'll just give me $20, $40, and that is going to make your customer way more sticky. So that's one thing that I like to do, is kind of like a tip line. And that's a really good one. If you're charging activations, do the activation. If you don't feel like you can charge an activation just because the customer's a little stingy or the whatever, then you can circle back with that tip line. And again, if you're selling 100 accounts and you get $20 on every account, that's $2,000 that you just got over the summer. And if it's cash, it's untaxable, and you're getting date night, right? Awesome, great. So you want to make the most out of every single sale. Now, another thing that I do with all of my customers, 1 second, I'm going to show you guys this right here. I'm getting some cheat codes. All right. On the pamphlet, okay, this is very important. on the pamphlet, all right, you need to make sure that you put your name, your phone number on that pamphlet. And then in their phone, you need to save your number and your name. I usually make my last name ADT so that when they look up my ADT in their phone, I come up, and then I take a selfie with that customer. Okay, so I say, all right, Miss Gertrude or whatever, Miss Gwendolyn, take a photo with her. Oh, you look gorgeous. All right, saved in the phone. Now, when I call them, a picture of me and her is going to pop up when I call her to clean up that account. Okay, and it's going to remind her, hopefully, of a good interaction, and it has a picture of me and her. Now, what I also do to prove that I'm legitimate is I have that once I save the number in the phone. I take the photo of me and the customer in the phone. If they're tech savvy, I'll ask them to post it up on Nextdoor or Neighborhood Watch page and just say that I'm awesome. And then I'm going to call my phone from the customer's phone. What does that do? When their number comes up on my Apple Watch and my phone rings and it's not on silent, they know that I'm going to take their call. They know that it's a real phone number. They know that I'm not giving them a dummy phone number, and they know that it's my personal line. And I jokingly say, hey, if you need me for anything, just call me. I'm kind of married to this phone. I jokingly call this my black wife. Okay. So I'm married to this phone. If you need anything, you just give me a call. All right. And sometimes when you get an alarm, it's like a new relationship. There's a little bit of growing pains and there's some things that need to be worked out. Now, then what do? I follow the customer up again. I usually text them. I usually call them the next day and I say, hey, how was the install? On the day of the install, I'm texting the technician and I'm just going, hey, how was it? How did the closeout go? I'm following the process all the way through. And this really doesn't take much time or effort. If you're kind of constantly thinking about, all right, when have we got an install going in? Okay, when have I got this going in? Now, for most of you guys on the call, I know that you can do this because I'm doing it with 200 accounts or 200 installs. So I know that you can do it. I promise that you can do it. And texting the tech, helpful. Texting pronto, making sure it's on the schedule, and texting the customer the next day. Hey, how was the install? If you have any referrals, please send them over to me. When I'm with the customer, I ask them if they have any referrals, and I immediately save that number in my phone. And I might send them the selfie of me and the customer to that referral. Okay, super money, lay down central if that customer is going to go with me. Heaps of social proof. And then again, the customer's owning it even more. They've given me a tip. They've given me a referral. They know when the technician's coming because I wrote down the date and the time that the technician's coming, or the window that the technician's coming on here. I wrote down their My ADT home insurance savings on the pamphlet here. Okay, so those are a couple ways that I like to do it. I like to make it very personal with the customer. I like to show them photos of my family and my wife, and then they feel bad for canceling on Nate and his family, and I'm going to go hungry. No, just kidding. But it makes it more real for them instead of just them canceling their Netflix subscription. Because I'm intrinsically tied to ADT, and Nate is ADT for them, because you're selling yourself. In sales, you're selling yourself. So because I'm intrinsically tied to them, that's very important. So the tip line, the card, the number, selfie, the photo, these are all very important. And if you can save the customer's phone number in there, usually what I do is I'll write the customer's name in my phone, and then I'll put CM for customer. And sometimes I might put a note about what their dog is or who or whatever. And that'll help me. So that when they call, I'm not saying, hello, who is this? I'm saying, oh, Miss Dana, how you doing? How are you? And then now she was kind of pissed at me when she called, but I picked up the phone with a lot of energy. Hey, Miss Dana, how you doing? Oh, great to hear from you. How's your sweet little pug? Still have that breathing problem? Oh, great. Awesome. Great. And I can kind of break the ice with them and help resolve their problems. Now, one thing I will say, whenever a customer calls you, if they're typing in your phone number into that phone, they have a desired outcome that they want at the end of that phone call. Okay? Just like with your girlfriends, it's hard to be a mind reader and know exactly what these customers are thinking. It's very difficult. So ask them, hey, Miss Dana, I'm really glad that you called me. but what can I help you with today? What was the reason for your phone call? How can I serve you today? What problem can I help you solve? And then be outraged at whatever the problem is, equally outraged or more outraged. So it makes them almost feel crazy for how outraged they are. Get upset about their problems. Looking over my notes here, making sure I haven't finished anything. Keeping a finger on the pulse is very important. So take extreme ownership. Don't expect your managers to baby your jobs for you. If you want to get paid like a six-figure salesman, you need to take extreme ownership of your jobs, your customers. Make sure that you baby those things when they go in. Aside from that, I'm happy to open up the floor, take any more questions. If people want me to repeat that tip line, I'm happy to. I tried to calculate how much cash I made last summer, but it was a good amount, and it obviously helped with my attrition. So happy customers, happy Nate, happy everybody. Anything people want to chip in?
Nate, I love that you call post install or next day. I know a lot
Or
of sales
text you.
guys want, or text, yeah. They just want to not talk to the customer or just get paid. But so often there's something very small.
Yep.
Could be an insurance certificate that they're mad about, or the tech, or anything. Just that text message can save a lot of deals and make them feel good.
A ton of deals. Yeah. I mean, you're 100% right.
They find the
Sometimes
flyer that's a cheaper rate. Well, and then you can explain, yeah, yours is cellular. Like just little things like that.
Or like, a really common one is I think Sean does a lot of basic deals, like basic alarms. Last summer, I sold way more basic alarms than I've ever sold. And it was because I was explaining what Sean was saying, which is the bank line. Sold a lot of basic alarms. And sometimes they just have that Wi-Fi fault thing, And so you just call them the next day and you're like, hey, Mr. Gregory, how's your alarm? Oh, it keeps beeping. It's got a red light on it. Just text the tech and they just turn it off. Simple problem. But they might have canceled over that. They might have got really upset that it beeped all the time. You never would have known if you didn't text them or call. So treat those customers like bad accounts and customers I almost treat with like more priority. Like I can go out and get another deal, but saving an account is like free money. It's already in the house. They already know the product. They already know you. It's like so much more work to go get a new deal. So if you can make your customers more sticky, it's going to save you less headache. And to be honest, I'd rather sell 200 accounts and keep 180 of them than like sell way more and lose more of them. So it's just way less hassle, less people to remember, less things going bad, less fluctuations with your money. So if you can keep your customers sticky, it'll help your stress levels for sure. Does anyone else have any other questions about anything that I've gone over tonight, or anything that they liked or didn't like? My time is yours, so I'll give 19 minutes of my time before I want to go hit the hay. So you've got me. We can end the call early if no one's got anything, but I'm more than happy to help people. That's why I wanted to do the training, is to help you guys. So.
We're getting texts that you're doing a good job, so everything's coming out good. So just so you
Fantastic.
have some feedback there. But
appreciate it, Sean.
I would say that selling, and I agree, like selling the basic alarm actually comes over a lot of objections. And I mean, historically was what we pitched more than cameras. Cameras are so cool that we all lean towards that. But I think we have to realize every objection has an answer. And I think you've got to be, a lot of that is every part of the system you have to be proficient in to overcome objections. So
yeah, I watched maybe it was Grant Cardone, I think, talking about this, and he was saying that when you first go into a sales interaction, the customer is judging you on three things, which is how sharp you are, so probably your familiarity with the product, how enthusiastic you are, and then your knowledge of the product. So how sharp you are, you need to be sharp as a tack, how enthusiastic you are, and then your knowledge of the product. And if you know the product well, And there's not that much to know really. But once you know the product well, there's no objection that you can't handle, really, truly. If the customer doesn't want it, judge that early, cut your time, and just get onto your next door, because every no leads to a yes. And you don't have to sell everybody. It's totally fine. God bless them. They miss out. They're lost, and just get to your next door. So, but yeah, every objection has an answer, but not every single door has a sale. And if you can go in with that mindset, no one on the door is going to beat you, but you've just got to find the right person to sell, if that makes sense. You don't, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that you guys want me to go over. I mentioned something before, which is the pause, probe, provide, prove, or feel, felt, found. Those are some other ways to handle objections, the 4Ps or the 3Fs. I kind of taught you guys tonight the agree, overcome, transition. I don't like analysis paralysis, too many options, and then you kind of can't choose. But if you kind of like this stuff and you enjoy sales, there's lots of different ways of kind of delving. And just because I do it a certain way doesn't mean that it's the way that you will sell best. The way that you'll sell best is with integrity, and we should all sell that way. But there are lots of different ways of skinning a cat, so to speak. And so keep kind of exploring, shadow as many guys as you can. One piece of advice I would give everyone on this call, even if they're a vet, even if you're a rookie and you've already done a blitz, is if your managers are happy for it, just for half an hour, try and shadow somebody and just learn from them, and have them shadow you and just kind of see what you're doing. And if you can never stop learning, you'll always be producing higher numbers, better quality accounts, stickier customers. So that's a really good kind of mindset to have. There is no such thing as failure. There's only learning. I can never fail. I can only learn. Even if I have an atrocious failure, it's just an atrocious learning experience. So you can never really fail. And that's something that I definitely learned through this job of knocking doors. So hopefully that encourages you guys. Hopefully that pumps you up for the summer. There's a lot of money to be had and a lot of people to be served this summer. Chase Coleman. I couldn't believe Chase hasn't asked a question up until this point. This is crazy. Chase.
Yeah, so my question is, whenever you get an objection on the doorstep, is there like a certain way you overcome it without arguing with them, or
Do you want to
seeming
give
like
me an
you're arguing?
objection so we can real time it over the phone and then I can argue with you over the phone?
I guess. Sure.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I mean,
how many times can I hit it?
Here, let me go somewhere quieter real quick.
I'm excited to see
All
you,
right.
Chase.
Yo.
All right, what's an objection you want to give me?
Yeah, so just if they say like I got a dog, I got a gun, like I get overcoming and agreeing, but like how do I, especially early on, I feel like I tend to just try to be right and argue, and it just doesn't necessarily help me all the time.
I imagine, just knowing you specifically, Chase, you're probably, and a lot of rookies do this, they spin their tires and they don't transition. And so that comes from maybe just not having your process down pat. Obviously, you know your process, but you just probably want to be vindicated and be right, which I have the same. I wouldn't say self-righteousness, but I just want to be right, because I'm like, I want to be logically consistent and you're being logically incongruent. So it annoys me. But yeah, just kind of transition off of your point. So once you make your point, keep going. If they won't let you keep going, go back into your sale. If they won't let you keep going, go to the next door. No problems. It's all good. Don't waste your time with someone that isn't going to be respectful of you. You know what I mean? If they're not going to be respectful of you and hear you out, okay, fine. No worries. It's good. I got another 100 doors in my neighborhood, dude. It's cool. No worries. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to sit there and fight with a customer and just prove them wrong. So just go, hey, yeah, like, absolutely. You got a dog. That's why we're here. We love doing the pet packages. Oh, no, I don't care about, your pet package. It's just stupid ADT bullshit, blah, 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 blah. I don't care about that. Okay, yeah. Hey, look, have you ever had it before? Because you don't want to knock it till you try it. There are a couple things I will knock before I don't try it, but ADT might not be one of them. And, I'll just make a joke about it. And if they're just kind of being rude and aggressive to me, like I'll just kind of confront it a little bit. Like, hey, is there any reason, like, have you had a bad experience with ADT, or like, something's got you worked up, man? I'm sorry if I kind of interrupted your day, or caught you off guard here. A lot of your neighbors really friendly, but I get it. I'm on your doorstep. Have you had a bad experience with ADT? I just try and work out with them, like follow my sword a bit. Hey, man, it's cool. Like, we're cool. If they're really at me, next door, no problem. Hey, God bless you. I'm sorry you miss out. Next door. Don't waste your energy on that person. Remember, sales is a transference of energy. So if they're just giving you a lot of negativity, that comes from you being scared that you might not be able to sell the next person, Chase. You're a good salesman and you can sell other people in that neighborhood. You don't necessarily need that person. So spend time with them, answer their objections. If they're being rude to you and cussing you out, or they're not giving you the time of day, they won't let you finish your sentence, they won't let you handle their objection with respect, next door, baby. Don't worry about it. Sell somebody else. They miss out. And when they see your neighbor's sexy new cameras, they're going to call the 1-800 and pay for it full price. There you go. That's why you're in the neighborhood, right? Does that answer your question, Chase, or not really? Did I just give you a sales redirect, not actually answer your question?
No, I feel like it definitely gave me a new way to look at it.
You're a good enough salesman. You can sell other people. Don't worry about those people that are negative towards you. They're just not
Got
worth
it.
your time. And they're going to be a pain in the ass customer too. So, yeah. If they're going to be rude on the doorstep, imagine how rude they're going to be to you if something goes wrong. Peace, dude. See you, bro. If you're not going to let me even finish my sentence, I'm out of here, dude. See you later. CJ.
Hey, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time out and for sharing all your lessons. I wanted to ask, like, for somebody like early on starting off, like what would you say like early in your career was like the best advice that you wish you would have had, like starting off, like going in houses, knocking on doors to sell this specific product?
I really appreciate you asking the question, CJ. And I love the beard, bro. That thing is rocking. This is like a whole week of growth for me. So I'm in struggle city here. A great question. My entrance into door to door was a little bit unique. I came over from Australia. I didn't know that I was going to stay in America, and one of my best buddies, Mike, was already doing door to door. So this was the only option that I had. I didn't have a family to go back to. I didn't have a job to go back to. So my piece of advice to you that I did do, and I would tell you to do, is be all in. Trust the process and be all in. And this job can and will change your life. And I'm not getting paid $1 to tell you that. I truly, I don't have any kicker for doing that. It's not like, have you seen that movie Idiocracy? It's a hilarious movie. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it tonight and you'll thank me. It's hilarious. It basically brutally mocks America and how stupid they are a lot of the time. And it's a really funny movie. And I can totally say that because I've been here quite a while. And there's this guy in it who always says like Burger King brought to you by Burger King, Burger King brought to you by Burger King. And they're like, why do you say that? Because he gets paid every time he says it. So I don't get paid for telling you that. It's kind of the point of the story. But my advice to you, CJ, would be just like anything in life. If you go to the gym and you give it a half-ass effort, what sort of results are you going to get? Half-ass results. And if you come to this door-to-door thing and I don't know your story, bro, I don't know what your upbringing is, I don't know your family, I don't know your bills, I don't know any of this stuff. But I can promise you, just like anything with life, whether it's your faith, whether it's your fitness, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your business, whether it's door to door, if you grab something by the horns and you give it 110%, you will see great benefits from this. And the cool thing is this job has no ceiling. You can take it as far or as little as you want to. And the other cool thing is that it's just 5 months. So give it 110% for 5 months and just see what happens. You know what I mean? That's my best advice. And if you kind of have one foot out the door, you kind of have a plan B, so to speak. It's not bad to have plan Bs, except if it has to do with killing babies, then I have a problem with that. But if you have a plan B in terms of like a back out or an exit plan, our emotions are kind of like a river. They take the path of least resistance. And this path that you're choosing to go down has some resistance to it. And there will be hurdles you have to overcome. Be in terms of like a back out or an exit plan. Our emotions are kind of like a river. They take the path of least resistance. And this path that you're choosing to go down has some resistance to it. And there will be hurdles you have to overcome, mainly your mind and your own feelings. So this path has a lot of resistance. If you don't have another path to take, the only option is to get strong enough to go through the resistance. If you have another path that you can take, then you may be tempted to take that path. So lock in, burn the bridges, go all out, and you won't regret it. I can jokingly bet my back end on it. Yeah, you'll have a great summer. Other things that I would tell you when I was first starting is just don't overcomplicate it. It's like Italian cooking. How many ingredients are in good Italian cooking? Usually like 3 or 4. Super simple. Some basil, tomato, and some garlic or something like that. Super simple, delicious. That's how your pitch should be. Super simple and delicious, baby. Italian cooking. Coming from the Italian with the big nose. So, yeah, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And if you can teach it to other people, then you understand it. So, yeah, if you can teach to other people, that'll help you. Sorry, I was just reading Brad's message, making sure that I haven't spouted any door-to-door heresies, which I seem to be in the clear. If there's any other questions, I'll answer them now. Otherwise, I will probably get to bed because I want to sleep.
Hey, thanks a ton, Nate. That was awesome.
All right.
Appreciate you,
Cool.
Nate.
How many
All
you
right,
selling
I'll
this
see
year,
you
Nate?
guys
That's what
up
I
on
want to
the
know.
board.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, and totally text me if you try that tip line and you get some sweet cash. Throw it up in the group chat when you get those. That's the Italian in me too. I like the cash. Italians.
How many are you selling this year, Nate?
We got to know.
I'm doing a bodybuilding show partway through the summer, so I want to do 4 years of 200, but there's going to be an interesting variable there in the
Let's
summer.
go.
So 4 years of 200 would be phenomenal. Even if I don't quite fund it, but if I can hit 200, I'll be very, very happy this year, especially doing a bodybuilding prep and being depleted and low energy and missing a couple weeks. So if I can do 200, I'll be absolutely ecstatic and pumped.
Literally pumped up.
Good luck in the bodybuilding.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some cool photos posted up. Right on, guys. All right. Well, God bless you guys all, and I hope that you have a very fruitful summer and absolutely crush it this year. I appreciate y'all's time.
Appreciate it, Nate.